Always better to be safe than sorry.
I don't know why, I just got a really bad feeling.
Hopefully when I get back, all my stuff's still here. Welcome back, guys. As you can see, we got a little bit of overcast weather, unfortunately. But good thing is we get to go for a rip in the old honey badger. Flying solo today, so don't know how the filming is gonna work. Was kind of gonna try out like a moto vlog, but way cooler than two wheels. So we'll see how it goes. All right, got all the camera stuff. Now remember, whenever you're out in the woods alone, you never are actually alone. Always go prepared. Sometimes people are like, oh, well, just don't go if you think something bad's gonna happen. Well, I don't think anything bad's gonna happen, but that's also when it happens. All right, I'm gonna finish packing up. We're gonna rip this bad bitch. Like I said, out here today, a little bit overcast and stuff. Gonna try to find some new trails. Last time Allie and I were out here, we thought we had this whole area mapped out. Well, it turns out we took a few turns and we stumbled onto a logging road that all of a sudden just like spidered out like everywhere. Not really sure where it is, but we're gonna do our best to find it. So stay tuned, stick around, and see where this goes.
Normally in the, you know, like in the motocross world or sports car world, that kind of a thing, it's very, very cutthroat. Like if you break something or whatever, you know, it is very, very challenging to get anybody to help you. You know, like in the pits or something like that. Like, you know, you break something super simple, spark plug wire, you know, coil pack, you know, something fairly benign, but you just don't have a spare with you. It takes a whole lot of effort to try to get somebody in the pits to give you one. You know, like what I had a flat tire at a motocross race and I needed a tube. Normally a tube is, you know, 20 bucks, 25 bucks. I offered a guy $100 for a tube because I needed it right now. He was in, like, literally parked like right next to me. He wouldn't give it to me. All I had on me was a $100 bill, and, you know, beggars can't be choosers, right? Like, I wasn't in a position to bargain with him, and I just needed it right now because my moto was going to be up in like 20 minutes, and I knew it was going to take me a hot minute to change it so I could make sure I didn't get a pinch. Well, it turned out that his son was racing in the same class as me, so the answer to me buying a tube off him was no. I could not believe it. So I ended up walking around the pits and stuff, you know, because at that point I was just pissed. Like, at that point, I no longer wanted to win the race just for the sake of the race. I just wanted to beat his kid. So walked around the pits, you know, ended up getting a tube. The guy ended up giving it to me for free because he was like $100 for a tube is ridiculous, you know. Instead of me just said, pay it forward. Super stand-up, awesome guy. Long story short, I went out in that moto and made sure as hell to win and beat him. But, you know, that's just one example, right? That's kind of the tradition of how racing typically is. Desert racing, totally different, totally different. I mean, obviously this is, my example is at the, you know, kind of more like semi-professional level and lower, right? Like once you get to like the trophy truck level at, you know, like the Baja 1000 and stuff like that, it's totally different. I would imagine. I can't speak to that. But at this level, and like the semi-professional races I've done and stuff like that, and with all the UTV races, everybody is super nice, and they will give you the shirt off their back to help you in the pits. You know, it's pretty wild how much they'll go out of their way to really help everybody, you know? Like what we... You know, like the last race we were at, right? There was like 4 UTV guys in a row. We were all racing against each other. We were all racing in the same class. And actually, funny enough, there were 4 of us, and we qualified, what, from the guy that qualified the fastest to the guy that qualified the slowest, there were 6 positions. So there was only 2 other cars in between us. So we were all like competing against each other, basically. You know, one guy broke an axle, He went to the pit next to him. They cannibalized that car, like asked if they could borrow an axle. They said, we don't have a spare that's out of the car right now. So they cannibalized their own car to give it to the guy they were racing against. You know, in our pit, one of the guys broke a radius rod time joint. Again, the guy next to us pulled a spare off of, you know, his own play car and gave it to us, right? Like, that's just the mentality of the desert racing. It's like guys in the pits will help each other out and do whatever it takes to enable good racing to happen on the track. And it really shows. And it's a totally different mindset too, because when you're out there, you know, like when you're at a motocross race or a sports car race, you know, there's a track official, usually a flagger, something like that nearby, right? Like you're not out there alone. Like you are competing against a whole bunch of other people and stuff, but you're not alone, right? In a desert race, you are very, very alone out there. You know, if something happens, you know, a fire, a medical emergency, crash, whatever, the odds are it's another racer that's going to get to you first, not an official or a medical person, right? The odds of, like, they are going to have to take some time to drive out to where you are once you radio in and tell them where you're at and that you need help. But another racer will most likely be coming along fairly quickly to help you. I think that, you know, that whole, like, mentality, you know, of, like, we're all in this together kind of a thing, I really think that really shows in the kinds of racing that you get. It's not just, oh, I want to win at all costs and stuff. It's like, no, I want to win because on that day I was better. It was a fair race. You know, neither of us had faulty equipment. Like, it was a fair race and I won because I was better. You know, and that's how racing should be. So far, we don't have any warning lights on the dash or anything like that. This is kind of the first major outing with the fresh front diff, so that's good. Oil temp is looking good. Oil pressure is looking good. Coolant looking good. Which way? I need to go this way, I guess. You know, the other thing that has really surprised me about the desert racing world, you know, kind of along the same lines as what I was just talking about, is how helpful everybody is to all the newcomers, right? Like the first race that I went to, I had never done desert racing before. I, you know, went through the rule book. I made sure we were going to eat all the rules and stuff like that. We were going to pass tech, no problem, you know. But when we got there, I was like, I have no idea who to talk to, where to go, like where is tech, when is it, how does it all work? We pulled in, literally the first guy that I saw with another UTV, I just literally walked up to him and I asked him, I said, hey, this is my first time ever doing this. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. You know, where should I go? And immediately said, you know, hey, welcome out here. You know, glad that you decided to, you know, jump into this whole hobby and stuff, and completely took us under his wing for the whole weekend, made sure that we always knew where to go, what to do, you know, when to be there, right? You know, and helped us out. You know, it's that whole mindset of being a community and like a family and helping each other that really makes desert racing so much different. You know, the other thing that I find kind of crazy is how much time it takes, right? Like, I mean, we all know racing is expensive, okay, so that was no big deal, you know, just budget for it and stuff, but the thing that I really underestimated was how much time it takes, you know, because you have to go out and like what, if you ask anybody, they'll tell you that most races, like 80% of it is won in the garage, right? Doing all the prep work beforehand and stuff like that, you know, going through like your pit processes, you know, like practicing all that stuff, practicing fixing the vehicle, you know, replacing whatever, right? Going through all that stuff in the pits. That is where a good chunk of the race is won. And it takes hours upon hours upon hours to go through this thing every time. A little bit different than most other UTV guys. I kind of have more of like a trophy truck mentality. I strip this thing down to the frame and I go through it every single like nut and bolt piece by piece, right? A lot of UTV guys, you know, they'll just like check over hardware and stuff like that. They'll kick the tires a few times, be like, oh yeah, she's ready to rip. You know, not the way I do it. right? Doesn't mean they're wrong, doesn't mean I'm right. It's just, you know, that's just not how I choose to do it. It just takes an incredible amount of time. Before every race, it's a couple 100 hours of prep time going into things, thinking through it all, you know, loading everything up, because you're loading up so many spares and everything else, and loading up all kinds of stuff. You know, that was one thing that I severely underestimated, is how much time it would take. Because the other thing that is kind of very different from anything I'm used to is a lot of times tech is on like a Thursday, right? Like it'll be on a Thursday and you'll race Friday, you know, and then awards and trophy stuff, you know, is Saturday. Or tech will be on Friday, you know, racing Saturday and awards Sunday, right? But you're going to be taking a day off of work to get down there to go through tech inspection and stuff like that. And that's if you live like right down the street. I don't. For us, the average race is 1,200 miles away. You know, it's like, oh, wow, okay, shoot. Like, that's, you know, a lot of the races are either a very long 12-hour day or 2 days away, you know? So you have 2 days to get there. You got 3 days of, you know, fun and shenanigans. And then that was a lot of water. 2 days to get home. It takes a tremendous amount of time. I mean, I don't know that I was an engineer. I only had a few weeks, like I would have had 3 weeks off a year, 3 or maybe it was 4. Yeah, it was 2 weeks of vacation, 2 weeks of sick. So basically I had 4 weeks, you know, of PTO. Well, I would easily eat that up, you know, going to a few races. Between a few races, family vacations and stuff like that, you'll eat through that in no time. So a lot of the guys that you meet out there are all self-employed or something like that, or have like a job where they can work virtually. That way, you know, they can be driving to the race and work in the evenings or something like that. It's definitely very, very different from anything that I've been used to, but different in a cool way. Can't really complain too much there. I wish we lived somewhere down in the Southwest, and as you can tell, this is definitely not the Southwest. You know, the other thing that I find kind of really cool about the whole desert racing thing is how incredibly capable a UTV is right out of the box. Like, I used to think that before I owned one, you know, I used to kind of think that they were fairly fragile. And they are if you treat it like a $1 million trophy truck. It is not a $1 million trophy truck, so, you know, it's going to have some shortcomings, right? I mean, a lot of guys that you see in the races, they'll try to blitz over like foot or two bigger boulder, and it's like, well, clearly that's not going to work. You have 32-inch tires, you know, not 40s, right? Well, it's been kind of amazing to me how sturdy and solid a UTV is, and just how much abuse this thing will actually take. If you do it right, you go through and you do all your prep and stuff like that, and you make sure everything's tight and everything is sound before you go, it's crazy how much abuse that they'll actually take. And they'll hold up to it great. And it is also kind of crazy how little effort it takes to buy a UTV right off the showroom floor, and you can, you know, basically make it meet tech inspection, you know, meet all the safety requirements and everything else. It really doesn't take that much money and effort to be able to go race and go enjoy these things to their fullest. I mean, obviously, if that's what you're into and stuff, that's great, but, you know, sometimes guys don't like that. You know, they like just going out and playing around in the mud or the dunes and stuff like that, which is totally cool. But if you've ever wanted to try it and you have a UTV, man, go do it. It almost doesn't matter what it is, like, as long as it's not a utility one. You know, I say that just because you can still make a utility one work. It's just going to cost you a little bit more money and a little bit more time, you know, but you can still go out there and have fun. And that's the whole thing about all of it, you know, is go have fun. You know, you spent all this money on these toys, you know, you want to go experience new stuff. It's so easy to get just caught up in the same old, you know, so get out there and go have a good time. The other thing, you know, the last thing that I have found that I didn't severely underestimate, I completely overlooked entirely is this is not a hobby like desert racing. It is not a hobby that you can do alone. It literally does take a team. And, you know, I always thought when the guys like, you know, podium guys were talking and stuff, they're like, oh, you know, I'd like, you know, it's all thanks to the team and blah, 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 you know. I used to always just think they were being polite. No, it is. Without the guys in the pits, like, you are SOL. Like, what are you going to do? Come into the pits, hop out and fuel up your own car and check it all over and stuff like that? Like, that's not going to work, you know? And again, it takes you a day or two to get there and 3 days of vacation, you know, blah, 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 and a day or two to get home. Well, the guys that you're taking with you or who are making the trip down there also, they're committing the same amount, you know? I mean, they don't have the same financial commitment as you, but, you know, you can always make more money. You can't make more time. They're dedicating their time to help you. And that is not something that should be taken lightly because, oh my gosh, does it take a whole lot of time. You know, that is one thing that I very much so underestimated. Well, I didn't underestimate it. I overlooked it entirely. It was not even on my radar, you know? But the cool thing is if you don't have anybody like that who can come with you, odds are you'll find someone there. And by odds are, I mean basically 100% chance, as long as you're a nice guy, reasonable, and, you know, you're not super self-centered about it and entitled about it. But if you ask somebody there, hey, can you guys help me in the pits, help me with fuel or whatever, dude, they're going to say yes. They're going to help you out and stuff, and they're going to be just happy that you're there. Okay, where am I going here? What was that marker for? Oh, fire tower gate. Okay. Well, let's go. Oh, shoot. Let's go this way. Let's go give this a go here. Looks like I'm not the only one up here. That puddle looked like it was disturbed. Had some frothing and some water bubbles in it. Hopefully I'm doing a good job of keeping the camera cleaned off and stuff, and hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Spent the first 2 hours of being out here going through different microphone setups and stuff like that to hopefully make it to where you guys could hear me. And I think this will work, but never know until you actually try. Man, it feels so good to be driving this thing again. It's been too long. It has. It's been way too long. Last time I really got to drive it was the race. I have a feeling I'm gonna have to come back out again tomorrow because I got a hunch that you guys are gonna be seeing a lot of what I'm seeing, which is a lot of raindrops. Let's just see what happens when we go faster, you know? Have we been down that trail? New trail. Oh, shoot. 3 new trails. Dang. So many options. All right. Heck yeah. New trails, boy. I love me some new trails. Ain't nothing better. See, I knew there was areas out here that we have never been. Yes, that is the mountain road going in. Thank you, very helpful sign. Oh yeah, I've been down this trail before. I guess it just wasn't marked. Oh, getting close to the edge. You know, for those of you who have made it this far in the video, let me know if you kind of like this, you know, a little bit vlog style video a little bit more. Then also, I'd be curious, if you do, what kind of topics would you guys like me to discuss? Remember, whenever you guys are out in the woods and you see a fire pit, just know it was not just wood that was in that thing. There's probably a lot of nails and staples and other crap in there too. So, okay. Ugh. Apparently there's a wall back there. Definitely would have been nice to have the windshield today, that's for sure. I even brought the drone too today because I was hoping that we could get some cool video, but I guess not. Okay. Got one trail marked out. All clear. Let's go down here. I really wish that I had a rally car. I mean, I guess this basically is. See what I mean? Trails just everywhere. It just spider webs. God. It's awesome. Freaking love it. And I always love it when I get back too. So people are like, well, where'd you go? I'm like, I don't know. I took a bunch of lefts and a bunch of rights, and I mean, I ended up someplace kind of cool, and then next thing you know, I was back at the truck. I don't know. All right. Look at that. We're just mapping this thing out, you know? I mean, at this point, I'm basically like Lewis and Clark. I'm out here just blazing new trails, finding new places, you know? I mean, that's all there is to it. Alright, so we're gonna go this way this time. Let's see where this goes. Almost overbaked that one a little bit. And by almost, I mean like really did. According to my little map thing, there's supposed to be a lookout spot up here. I mean, I give it like a 1% chance of us being able to... Actually, that's not true. Well, there's a 0% chance we're going to see shit. But I still want to get up here just so I can be like, okay, I found it, you know? Man, God help me if I run out of talent out here. It'll be a hot minute before anybody found me. I know what you guys are thinking. That's not very smart. Well, newsflash. I never said I was smart. I just want new trail goofing. This one's a little narrower, that's for sure. Man, it would be like a dream to get a job maintaining these roads, like a skid steer or excavator or something. Like, sweet Jesus. I'd love that job. I say that right up until I saw a cougar or something, then I'd freak out. But I guess if, you know, if you're running a flail mower or masticating head or something like that on a piece of equipment, you know, a little kitty cat ain't gonna stand a chance. Okay, another dead end right there. Let's not back off the edge. You know, little pro tip right there. Not back off edges. And this is gonna sound super, but I don't know why, I just got a really bad feeling. So, yeah, so we're gonna leave. Like I said, I just got, I don't know. You know that feeling like when the hair on the back of your neck stands up and stuff, and you don't really know why? You know, but you're like, I feel like we should just not be here right now. That's, yeah, that's the general vibe I just got. So, off we go. And that is why I always come out into the woods with a handgun. I'm not worried about finding a person. I'm worried about finding something a little bit meaner than a person. Like I said, you guys will have to let me know what you think of UTV vlogs. And if you have any different things that you want me to discuss, definitely be happy to do it. I am so glad that I came out here on a weekday, so I didn't have to worry about, you know, any competition with people. It's a little damp out here, that's for sure. Holy crap. It has done nothing but rain all day, and I have gone through nothing but deep puddles all day. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day and stuff, and I'll catch you on the next one.